So,
I'm gonna
so
record this, bro.
now the pressure's on. I hope it doesn't suck. But here we go. So here's the things that we didn't talk about. And by the way, that's Sean Mike in the Latin room dancing on a table because that's how wild it got. It was pretty awesome to see him up there just going nuts. Here's what we didn't talk about. We didn't talk about CRMs, how to properly structure IULs, lead vendors, technology, AI scripts, Google, best carriers, when to call, how to get recruits, chargebacks. We didn't touch on that. We touched on things that were bigger than that. And I think that everyone kind of like likes to harp on these things, but we talked about analysis paralysis, and that was one of those things that kind of like I lumped into that because I was really shocked. We didn't really touch on a lot of that stuff. But here are my five key takeaways. One was consistency and discipline lead to success. So one constant amongst all the high performers were their schedules. They were like every hour, they were like, down to the T in terms of like how to maximize productivity. They all talked about the same thing, 300 to $400 per day equals consistent action. Some months may be slow, but persistence drives ROI. Dave Anderson said he gave a phenomenal speech. He said, determine your non-negotiables early and live them daily. And so I thought that was really, really important. And there's our number one agent, Francis. Um, Two, outwork the situation. We all go through, trials and tribulations. Like early on, I've had my, good days, I've had my bad days, but success doesn't care if you're tired, keep going. That's something that Tim Grover said I thought was really important. Those don't focus on the reasons why not, control the controllables. Your struggles will either make you better or bitter, choose better. And that was really important when we think about all the struggles. I think that that was one of those things that I learned from going to conventions, how many people struggled and how many people overcame. And that was the big takeaway. Somebody said that they said, I was in trouble. I couldn't afford my rent. I was like, down to my last dollar and I spent my last dollar on leads. I had to outwork the situation. And that's how I got through it. And that's how this industry changed my life. And one of the quotes that I heard as well that I thought was really telling was facts tell, stories sell. So I thought that that was really good as well. Number three was build sustainable systems. So one of the agents who was $1 million producer was talking about always doing income producing activities, which are going to lead to results. I'm guilty of that because sometimes I harp on like, oh, my funnel or what lead vendor or whatever. It's like just get to dialing, just get to calling. I thought that that was really important. Dialing, investing in leads will pay off. Caitlin, I think her last name is Blackburn. She's incredible. She's built an amazing team. And she's like, look, this isn't like rocket science. It's like 1,000 to 3,000 weekly average spend leads to Hall of Fame, right? Work your leads, spend the money, invest, do what you have to do. You're going to get there, but you got to work your leads. And when something that Francis said to me, we were having a drink and I thought it was so like empowering. He's like, I've never had a negative ROI since I've started in this business. And I was like, wow, because sometimes you look at it from like week to week, you're like spending money on leads and you're like, oh, you're not producing, but you have to kind of look at the bigger picture. And I'm glad that Francis said that to me because it really kind of reshaped my mind. And I was like, you know what? I just got to start. So I started spending more. And sure enough, I'm getting a crap ton of leads now, and I haven't been able to get a hold of all of them. So it's just, it was really empowering. Um, Number four, like we talked a lot about recruiting and a lot about team building. So you can't do it alone. Recruit widely to grow faster. Building a team creates leverage and boosts productivity. Invest in people for the long-term growth. Dial in your 90-second pitch. This is something that Wiley was talking about. He said, this is how I recruit. I try not to tell them about life insurance and all this stuff. And, when people ask me what I do, I say, I have the best job in the world, and here's why. So share your story, your struggle, your result and the impact of your life. And then, he would say, I was struggling, I didn't have any money, and then I didn't started working in sales and I made, 15,000 in a week or whatever, whatever your story is. Have you ever thought about sales? And that was really empowering because he's not selling the insurance, he's selling the result. He's selling the effect of what it can do for you and how it can change your life. And one of the quotes I heard was go wide or die.
Yeah.
That thought was interesting as well. And so one of the reasons I have Harold on here. Harold is a $1 million producer as well. He's built an incredible team. And he said he was on the builders call the other day, and he said, people were asking me why I wasn't wearing my gold jacket. He's like, I didn't want to wear it because that's about me. My goal is to have a green jacket for the team. So that's what I'm aiming for next year is a green jacket. I mean, this is a $1 million producer, and he's more worried about his team than himself. And I thought that that was just so powerful and so endearing. So I really respect him for that. And I think that's awesome. So somebody to look out for and to look for. And by the way, all these people are on social media, so you can follow them and kind of get, again, this insight from them. Last but not least, take massive action. Don't wait for perfect conditions. Action is what counts. Set standards high and live them daily. The business can change your life in a day. This one guy was telling a story about how literally he had no money. He thought it was the worst thing ever. And then the next day he did like 15K in AP and he was just like, I can finally pay my rent. Like he was so excited. So take the first step. Tim Grover said, be all in. The process is non-negotiable. And I thought that was super powerful. Um, and last but not least, when it comes to like going to conference, I think it's really important. Like everyone needs to be at convention next year. And Andrew Taylor through Jay Muska said, if you have 11 recruits and two go to convention, you only have two recruits. And this is what I took from his speech. I don't know if you guys can hear this, but let me see. Can you hear that?
We can't.
Oh,
No.
shoot. Yeah, I don't know how to share sound, but it's really powerful. I'll have to, I don't know how to.
Go down to more. Go down to more, the more button on the bottom. And then when you click that, it should have a share sound on it.
Share computer sound? Oh,
Yeah.
yeah. Oh, okay. Come see this.
Who's bought in and who's not. Andrew Taylor got on a podcast or on a Zoom with us that resonated with me. He says if you have 11 recruits and two go to convention, you only have two recruits. You only have two people that are fully bought in. So like that was my biggest thing was how many people can I get down to convention, which is going to show me how many people in the agency's bought in and who's bought in and who's not. And that was a huge thing for me because what convention does, Uncle Jimmy, is everybody like you, me, Gary, Andrew, what it does is it builds each other's credibility. Because eventually your agents are going to look at you like an echo chamber. Like, Jay, we get it. But if Uncle Jimmy gets on stage and he's preaching the same thing I'm preaching it, and he's just saying it a little bit differently, they're going to be like, damn, what Jay's saying is right. It builds the credibility within the company as standards and expectations and whatever the case might be. So getting down there is huge because it's just going to build the expectations, and the support is huge as well. But it's going to build the expectations, and it's going to build each other's credibility as managers by getting people down there.
Yeah. So that was really
Who's Uncle Jimmy?
the guy he was talking to, Jimmy, somebody from FFL. He was on that call today, and he started talking about it because Jimmy was like, "Why should everyone go to convention next year?" And then Jay, by the way,
I think it's Andrew Taylor's uncle, I think.
Oh,
yeah. And by the way, Jay, 23 years old, won pretty much every award you can imagine. He did 4 million. His team did 4 million in the month of January. I mean, the guy's absolutely a machine, and won, like I said, won every award there pretty much. And his whole focus is just on building his team, and he's got like what Neil said at the very beginning of this call is like setting the standard and setting, what is the expectation of, what we're doing. I think probably the biggest takeaway was, the stories that people told about how what we sell changes lives and how we're protecting families. And sometimes we don't always remember that we're like always in the midst of it, but we have to sometimes take a step back and realize, okay, we're helping people, we're helping families. And they were talking about a lot of, different scenarios of trials and tribulations of like, somebody called me and, somebody passed away and they were thanking me because they had this money, so anyway, I thought it was really powerful. I hope, some of that resonates with you guys. And yeah, I'm really appreciative that I was able to go and spend some time with, Daniel Broadway and Francis and Neil and MJ and everyone and Connecticut Mike. I thought it was awesome. So I hope to see everyone there next year. I plan on going. So
awesome.
yeah, that's it.
Dude, that was great. All right, who wants to follow up Danny?
Way to go, buddy.
Damn, I don't know. That's a tough one.
Yeah.
Lawrence, go ahead.
Yeah.
Oh, I've got a really good one.
Hey, Danny, stop sharing your screen real quick so we can. Okay, go ahead, Lawrence. Thank you.
Mine is never leave convention early. Karma's a mother effer.
Oh, what happened to you?
Shattered my elbow Friday night.
How'd you do that?
So never leave convention early.
Oh, dude, that was bad karma.
That's what I'm going to share.
Okay.
Shattered my elbow. Yes.
Wow.
So don't leave early. That's my 2 cents there.
Oh, dang. Okay. Well, let me just do a disclaimer that you will not necessarily shatter your elbow if you go to conference. Well, I appreciate you being on the call, Lawrence.
Of of course.
All right, who's next?
I can go. I think for everyone that's on the call, I mean, we kind of work
Where's your
independently.
presentation, Mike?
Yeah, this is my presentation. See, I'm going to do a Daniel Broadway sort of presentation where I am the presentation, and it's working for Daniel. So let me give that a shot.
There you go.
He'll
Which-
be on here too, by the way. He's at choir practice, I think.
If he jumps back on here, because it looks like he jumped off, it is his birthday. Oh,
I'm here. What do you want?
Here?
What you
Oh.
need? What were you gonna say? What do you
I said
need?
it is your birthday. I think we should sing you happy birthday, brother.
Oh no.
Oh, it's your birthday.
No.
Dude, happy birthday.
Happy birthday,
man.
the birthday boy.
That's awesome.
How old are you?
Old enough, Neil. No, I'm just kidding. I'm 33.
33.
Nice.
Yeah.
Good age.
Dude, that is amazing.
Baby.
That's how many agents I'm gonna have come with me to convention next year.
There
33.
you go.
That's what
Yeah.
we're talking about right there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm halfway there. Halfway there.
Yep. So I would say my takeaways from the convention though were you kind of get in a little bit of a bubble when you're wherever you're working. It's always good to kind of see what others are doing. It's kind of proof of concept. But as far as like the tricks, it's kind of simple, right? It's consistency, dialing. I mean, we have, it's funny. It's like we have all the different characters that are in the group, but we got Francis, who is like the number one right in our group. So I mean, if you want to talk about resources for a group, we have the right people here, and multiple speakers that were down there as well. But I think it's always good to get perspective, because you get to meet and talk to different people, and you realize it's just a matter of just being, getting that grit, putting in the time, being smart, failing. And most of the people that had these huge success stories had also huge failures prior to it. So part of the lesson is failure is part of succeeding. So if you're trying to do it and expect to never fail, then you're probably never going to succeed either. So that's my Danny kind of took away all the talking points. I would echo anything Danny said, plus maybe just add in those as well. But
Hey, to add to that, what was that one quote? Success rejects all first-time applicants.
yes.
And I think that just goes to show that no one's going to really make it big and never fail. And so you've got to accept the fact that failure is part of the process of winning. And when you hear so many dream, struggle, victory talks, yeah, you're right, Mike. It just changes your perspective on things for sure. So thank you for that. Who's next?
So it was a great conference. I didn't realize I was number 4 in the company until that night. I knew I was like top 10, but I didn't know I was that far up.
Number one IUL. Number
What's
one.
that?
You're number one IUL.
And I was
though.
number 1 IUL,
Oh.
so I'll take that number 1 as well. I did get a little trophy for that, so which was nice. But I really liked also, what Harold had said and a few people, and it's really about your team and about changing other people's lives. And I've really been selfish about recruiting because I've gone through some tough times. I've gone through each year where I wasn't consistent, and my bank account went down to 0 or below 0, and it's hard to feel like a success when you have failures. And so it's hard to go out and recruit if you don't feel like you're selling at a high level. Well, I don't have an excuse. I was like Mike said, I was number one IUL producer. I was number 4 in the company. I don't have an excuse that I'm not successful in this business, you know. Um, so I need to share it with as many people. And I shared it with a guy today, and you know, we'll see how he does. Hopefully he does well. And I can help him get out of his situation that, you know, that he's in. Um, so that's really what smacked me in the face. Just God, a 22-year-old. And what's sad is I didn't get his name because Sean Mike kind of called him up, and I missed his name. But he went from 5 agents last conference to 70 agents this conference. His override in January, he made $218,000 in January.
Oof.
And he's 22 years old. Just like that, just smacked me in the face. Like, what the hell am I doing? You know, now granted, I'm working the business, but I'm not sharing it with enough people because it is a great business. And it's like any business. You have, as long as you work it, but we have a great system. And I mentioned that when I talked on stage, is that this is the greatest business. The barrier of entry is like next to nothing. You know, maybe $500. Okay. And then, yes, you do need to get some leads. So you start off with some leads, and you work the snot out of them until you can afford more leads. And then you can, you know, work them and just keep it working. And you're going to grow. You're going to learn. You're going to do better. You're going to get better. And we do have a ton of resources out there, you know, and I've always reached out to people, and Juan's probably the best at reaching out to people. He, from early on, he would reach out and say, "Hey, how do you doing that? You know, how you doing that?" And then take what they do and try to go emulate it. Yeah, that just smacked me in the face. Like, wow, that kid, and it's anyone can do it. It's just talking to enough people and helping those people be successful. So, wow, what a fulfilling job where you're changing 70 people's lives, you know? And it's wow, that is just huge.
Yeah, that was that the guy that bought the Mercedes for his mom? That his mom.
No, that wasn't him. That was at the
Oh, that was
this was at the end. This was like one of the last people. Like Sean was ending the conference. You know, I mean, not the you know, but that session, like before lunch, or it was, you know, right before we broke at 5 o'clock. You know, I mean, I just he just looked at him and said, you know, how much did you make from your team last month? 218,000. Like, holy. Nice. And he mentioned, yeah, I had 5 people last year. I have 70 people this year. Amazing. At conference.
Yeah, I heard that too, where they said, you know, yeah, you guys have made it. You're making money. You don't have to worry about paying your bills. You don't have to worry about money in the bank. But how many people on your team have experienced the same thing? And that was the big takeaway is, you know, we want everybody to experience that. And I think, Danny, you had an epiphany because you went from leads trickling in to now you've got more leads than you can call. And I remember when they said, if you're feeling panicked about how many leads you got coming in because you can't get to them all, that's about the right amount. And
yeah, I mean, I spoke to, when I was talking to Francis about it, you know, we were just kind of like, you know, just having a drink about it. And when he said that to me, he's like, I've never had a negative ROI. It kind of changed my perspective because I was kind of going at it by week, because everyone's like, know your numbers, you know your numbers, like because you're always like judging by week and then by month. And I'm like, you know what? I need to take a real, like, a higher altitude look at this thing and really see how I can grow it. And I started spending some more leads. Sure enough, one of the leads came in, and I helped a family on, what was it, Saturday or Sunday, like immediately when I got back. And I was like, all right, this is it. And now my approach, in terms of like presentations and everything that I'm doing is a lot different, because when you see the caliber of people that are doing it and at what level they're doing it, you're like, man, I have to do more. And, I think that it was really, so the amount of money that I spent going to convention, it was like so well worth it. You know what I mean? It was so well worth it when you think about what you learn and how to approach things. So I would definitely recommend everyone to do it. And Francis, not to make you feel bad, but that kid that we were listening today, Jay, he actually made 300,000 last month, but he only wrote last year for the year. He wrote, I think, around 170,000 AP for the year. Like
Yeah, he's no longer writing. He's
Yeah.
managing his team because he has
Right.
one heck of a team.
Wow.
Right. But the code of like he has a I saw it. He's got a code of conduct. He's got like an actual like book that he gives all his new agents. It's got code of conduct, nonstop agency expectations, 90 days, goals, schedule, promotions, like all these things he's laid out in terms of like how he's so smart for a 23-year-old kid. Like that's amazing. Like it's so
Wow,
smart.
it is. Yeah, very. Yes, he's ahead of himself.
Yeah.
He's a sharp kid.
Like Zach. Well, the other thing that, and we'll have Daniel speak next. Daniel pulls us aside and goes, man, I just talked to a guy. Their organization has a team ad program. They're spending they're investing 750,000 a month as a team, which would be like 145 agents spending 4,000 a month or 1,000 a week. And their issue paid every month is 3 million a month. And so, that's a 4x, which isn't great, right? I mean, if you said that to Francis, he'd be like, "No, that's not great compared to what he does." But you got to believe that there's people that are just getting started and then people that are very experienced, and it's averaging out a 4x. So it's like, hey, give me $100 and I'll give you $400. Who wouldn't do that deal?
Over and over and over.
Yeah. So that was the bomb that Daniel laid on us. So Daniel, you still here?
Yeah, dude.
Go ahead.
You want me to talk about what the leads or what?
No, the conference.
Your takeaway from the conference.
Oh, I mean, conference was dope. I mean, you got to be there. If you're not there, you don't realize how much you're missing out on. Like, I used to be one of the guys that didn't want to go to conference because I felt like I couldn't afford to get there. But now every time I go, I learn something new and learn something different. And now I can't afford to not go, quite frankly, because what I've learned is as I guess you'd call it evolution through the company just continues to grow and build and get a little bit different. My mindset just changes, and your entire mindset changes whenever you get around people that are doing the thing that you want to do. Even the thing that you thought that you didn't want to do, you start to you really start to get that mind shift change. Like if I could be fully transparent with you guys, y'all know I like being frank, right? So I was kind of looking for a way to utilize my own personal production to get myself kind of like out of the business and start doing something different. And Neil, I hope that's okay to say, but that's just what I was feeling, right? And then I saw one of my guys, he ended up writing business. He started being successful from some of the same type of lead platforms that I was running. And he issued like 20K in his first week from writing the same type of leads I was writing that just didn't book on my calendar. And then those commissions came in and I'm like, wait a minute. I was looking at real estate. Helping this one dude change his life was the exact same type of commission I would have gotten from a rental property. And I don't have to worry about tenants or toilets. And I'm like, dang. So somebody gets a life change out of it and it opens up their eyes to the business. I'm not being selfish and not telling somebody else about it. And I still get paid what I would have gotten paid with trying to do something else that I was trying to do. And I saved $12,000 as a down payment from a rental property. So, I mean, Neil and I talked about that a long time. And once I saw that epiphany, and then I got around people at convention, and I saw all these guys that were younger than me, and all these guys and just on different levels, different paths, if you will, in life. And I'm like, they're all building teams. They all got it figured out. What am I doing? Why am I letting this opportunity pass me by? Like, if this opportunity was so bad, there wouldn't be so many people trying to do the exact same thing with building a team. Then, like what Mike was talking about, just the connections, the people that you get to talk to and speak with. I got to hang out with Mike a lot down there, and dude's a freaking genius, by the way, but he built his own type of calculator that actually showed, if you haven't seen this yet, I'm going to kind of tell on you, Mike. Sorry. I'd encourage you to try to get it from him. But the guy broke down the entire comp grid and showed how beneficial it was just to have a very small team and how good you can be moving forward from that little bit. So, opened my eyes a lot, saw a much larger opportunities to what this business is. And they're literally throwing money at you. It's just your job to like put your hands out and just take it, you know? So, the only thing that would stop you from doing something like that is something silly like fear of loss or fear of debt or something like that. And I'm like, okay, yeah, sure, it's a real fear. I get it. We've all felt that. But think about the potential upsides. Like, what are you going to be receiving and how many lives are you going to be changing in the meantime? So that was my biggest takeaway. I made the decision that I'm going to start pursuing that green jacket when I saw Neil wear it, because I'm like, that's pretty dope. And no offense, Neil, but there's no difference between you and I can come and get one too, you know? Like,
Amen.
I'm just saying. And then I saw Francis with his gold jacket, and I said, Francis, there's no difference between you and I. Like, you're a little bit of a better looking dude than I am, but I can get a gold jacket too. So it's encouraging to see these really great people that have achieved these really great things. And I'm just like, okay, why couldn't I do it? So if you didn't go, you missed that opportunity to elevate yourself. If you did go, now the challenge is lying what I've personally picked up the mantle of doing, and that's taking things into action and just going. I told Neil and Leanne, I've been in a ready, fire, aim status. Like, I think the worst thing you could do after you go to an event like convention is just sit on the knowledge that you got. Like, don't just sit on it. Really put something into action. Like, do what Danny did. Increase your ad budget. Increase your lead spend or your ad spend. Go out and network with somebody and find out what the heck they're doing. Give Francis a call. Give Neil a call. Find out what they're doing, and then don't be an ask hole, if you will. Don't just ask and then don't do what they're saying. Like, follow through with it. Like, move forward with the knowledge that you end up learning from convention and apply it. And I guarantee you, if you end up doing just that one little thing, February, March, and April will be one of the best quarters you ever had in the business.
Amen. And what'd you say about being there by yourself?
Oh, dude, being there by myself was miserable.
You were miserable.
Miserable. I saw everybody else around with their teams and whatnot, and I'm like, okay, what the heck, dude? Why am I not here? Like, why do I not have a team around me? This is so stupid. Because there's other people I know that could be doing this. And then during that same week, it had to be a God thing, man. During that same week, I had 4 people hit me up from home. And then we got a hold of a team worth of 11, and then we're onboarding them right now. So in that same week, I think God's going to definitely intervenes when the time's right. Because he's not going to give you something you can't steward or not prepared to steward. So I think whenever I got my mind right and ready, these people started reaching out to me. So, it's a great opportunity, man. You just start putting seeds out there and just keep moving forward with it whenever it comes to building your own personal agency, getting your own personal commissions up, or whatever your next goal is. Sit it out, write it down, and then take action on it. Don't just let it sit. Don't let it slip.
Awesome. On that note, you get
what brother.
You get what you focus on. So what we want to do is we want to start when anybody hires anybody, let's go ahead and put it in the daily sales. And then we're going to start reporting each week, hey, Danny hired 3 people, Francis hired 5 people, Neil hired 3 people, Daniel hired, and because you get what you focus on, and we want to start focusing on that. It's the only way to grow. So make sure you put that in the daily sales. And Daniel, you can put all your stuff in there and look just bigger than life, because you did have a great week. It started Monday and it was like a God thing, because people started reaching out to you. It was crazy. you called me like, what's going on, bro? So I love getting those kind of calls. And that happens. Like last night, I woke up in the middle of the night, and I'm remembering this guy that came up to me and said, thank you for doing that phone call, because you told me to start doing these leads, and I did them, and it completely changed my business. And I thought, I got to get a hold of that guy and see if he has a virtual assistant that could help us on some stuff. And I had heard that, you know, every person has an angel, right? That's assigned to them. And if you'll just ask that angel to intervene in your life, they will. And so I said last night, I don't know what time it was, but it was dark out. I said, God, have your angel intervene. And I got to reconnect with this person. I didn't write their info down. And Francis, this morning, right on cue, Elka texts me. And then she said, hey, I'm working with Manny on some leads. And I'm like, I was talking to Danny. I said, Danny, listen to
That's
this.
him.
And boom, that's him. And she sent me his info. I mean, just crazy. You know, you don't have to be a believer, but I'll tell you what, I'm like, thank you, Lord, angel. So anyways, so anybody else wants to chime in? MJ?
No, I just shared in the chat. It's important that people understand we've walked through fire when it comes to recruiting. And we have a standard, and that's so that you protect yourself and get the best of the best. Just because they can fog a mirror does not mean that they need to be on your team.
True. Yeah, I just I don't know if Ted's on the call tonight or not. He might have an event, but I just had a guy reach out to me over the weekend, and I've been posting stuff on Facebook. And this is a friend of mine that I lived with their family, and he's got his Series 7. They were trading on the Board of Trade in Chicago. They'd all take the train down. They trade. These guys made $400,000 and $500,000 a year all through the 80s and 90s. And he said, I thought it'd last forever, and it didn't. And he's getting his license. He's like 17% through his test, and he's going to get started with us. And I'm so pumped. But you feel a level of responsibility when that happens, because you want them to succeed, and you want to make sure that you have a system that all they got to do is plug into and they can succeed. So very pumped about that.
So the one thing I want to say that I left off, sorry, Danny.
No, please.
But making sure that you're asking that golden question, and making sure you're asking about, old 401ks, IRAs, anything that acts like life insurance, because, we are only 4% of the agents in all of FFL are writing annuities.
Wow.
And annuities are not that difficult. And one of the guys that I met when I went up to Vermont, when Devin had a bunch of us come up to Vermont, was this guy, Scotty Rapp. And he did Hall of Fame last year, and sold a lot of IULs. He did $10 million in annuities last year.
Wow.
Made over $800,000 in just annuity commissions.
And we've done 10 million over 3 years, to put it in perspective.
Right.
Wow. Dominic reached out to me today, and he goes, hey, do you have that meeting for SRS? And I sent him that link, and I just thought, and it was about 10:15, Francis. And I clicked on the link, and those guys were doing a team meeting. It was Frank Euphemia and his right-hand guy, I can't remember his name. And they were just
Mike File.
Yes.
File. Yes.
File. And they were just hammering on ask the golden question. Ask the golden question. They must have said that 10 times when I was on there. And they had 213 people on that call. They were saying the one thing we don't do enough of is ask the magic question. And I did it twice today. So you're 73 years old. So what else do you have that acts like life insurance? Well, I got a money market. I got about 600,000 in that. And then I have some CDs, got about 300,000 in that. And I'm like, all right. He says, but you can't send me an email because at 73, I don't email. You got to mail stuff to me. And I got it right here. I'm getting it ready. And I said, hey, if you want to look into this, I'd be happy to. He goes, yeah, there's like 6 people hounding me to do a Zoom, but I don't know how to use Zoom. I said, hey, bro, I'll jump on a plane and fly down to St. Petersburg and see you. So so good point, Francis. We have to ask that question.
Because we're leaving money on the table.
We are.
A lot of money.
Amen. Anybody else? This has been really good. I'm glad I recorded it.
Danny, man, A+ for the assignment or the presentation.
I mean, great interpretation.
Well, I think, Neil said to me, he's like, hey, I want you to say something for for our call tonight. And I was like, I can't, I was just reviewing all my notes and I'm like, I just have pages and pages and pages of notes, and that's the one thing that when I got into this, when I started doing this, I was looking for, an option, an alternative to what I'd been doing. I was looking for something where I can control my schedule, where I can, where my output, I can control my output and then I can really kind of control my own destiny in a way. And I've been hearing a lot about real estate, just like, Daniel had mentioned, but then I have a lot of friends that are in real estate. It just didn't seem like a good time. And then I remember my feeling when I first got life insurance and how happy I felt when I got, I was on a trip and overseas and I just had my daughter. And I remember that feeling of kind of why I started doing it. And then I was like, okay, maybe this is a thing. Maybe this could be possible. And it wasn't until I went to convention where I was like, oh my gosh, this is bigger than I had envisioned it. And this is bigger than what it is. And, we have, some of the top producers on our team and some of the best team, mentors that we could possibly have on this team. And I was just really humbled and appreciative of the opportunity to be there, to be able to see all this. Because again, the industry that I came from, there's people that win, but they don't share anything. It's very all to yourself. They don't care if you win. It's they're almost jealous if you win. It's a very, very fickle industry. And then to come to this where it's everyone wants you to win. I went up to this one guy at Starbucks and I'd been following him. His name is Michael J. And I was like, hey man, seen your content. I think what you're doing is really great. And then he started asking me all these questions about myself. And we just had a really nice dialogue. I'd never met the guy before. He's like, hey man, I'm going to keep my eye out. I'm rooting for you. If you need anything, give me a shout, whatever. He was genuinely helpful. And that's, whether it's Francis or Neil, anybody that I ran into there was awesome. I ran into Josh Lockhart as well, somebody that I follow and I've seen a bunch of his stuff. Same thing. It was really, really great. So I think the industry as a whole wants you to succeed. And I think that for me, coming back, I was just all right, I got to do this. This is going to be my next 10-year plan, hopefully longer. We'll see. But right now I'm just really excited and motivated, not because it was all this hoorah, right? Not because I spoke to Felipe and Felipe said what was the key takeaway? I was I don't know. He's like, well, how did they do this? And I'm like, I don't know. It wasn't even about the CRMs or the things that we fixate on all the time. It was about the message as a whole. And coming back from it, I was inspired because I see all these people that have struggled, that have been in different situations. We all have these common threads, but at the end of it, they've kind of kept persisting. They fought through it and they became super successful. And yeah, it was just really empowering to see all that. And then I didn't even touch on the Spanish side of it, but the Spanish team is on a mission. Digna's done an incredible job with that division. She's just brought in some incredible speakers. I was blown away. When I went up there, the energy, the enthusiasm for IULs and everything that they're doing was just next level. So that's kind of where I'm going to be staying, probably, focusing a lot of my business on is the Latin side, just because there's a lot of opportunity there.
Yeah.
But I mean, the English, obviously the top 5 people were English. So, well, except for Franco, but.
Well, and it's funny. I broke my notes into 2 categories, mindset and technique. And the majority of the notes I took were on mindset. And I think that's really what the conference is all about, is winning versus losing is mindset. That's why they had
Yeah.
Dave Andrews in there, mindset coach. They had all these mindset people because it is about mindset. You know, like just the fact that success rejects all first time applicants. That's just a mindset. If you can understand that, then you don't get down when somebody says no, or you don't think I can't do this because this person didn't book a Zoom with me. You got to fight through that and realize that on the other side of no is yes. And so that's all mindset stuff. That's what the function really is designed to help you break through.
Yeah.
You had a major breakthrough in your mindset, Danny.
Oh yeah. And actually I'll leave you with this. I'm sorry I've been talking the whole time. I was just like really excited to talk to everyone and share kind of the experience. But there was this one kid, it was really funny. And they were talking about how do you get to Hall of Fame? And he's like, I don't know why Sean Mike asked me to get up here because I did not get Hall of Fame. But he asked me to get up here and explain to you guys why I didn't get Hall of Fame. And he's like, I was a valet and I was living and working in West Palm Beach. And every time I saw Sean Mike, he gave me $100 every time he valeted my car. So I was really excited every time I saw Sean Mike. So it didn't matter what he said, I was going to listen, right? So he said one day Sean Mike started to recruit him and he got into it. And then what happened is he started to make money, more money than he had been making doing valet. So he left valet and started focusing on life insurance. And then he made like around $200,000. He's like, that's it. Moved into a new apartment, felt like he was like the richest guy in the world, and his productivity fell off. And he's like, that's why Sean Mike asked me to come up here, was because I know why I didn't get Hall of Fame is because I got a little bit of success. My productivity fell off. That's never going to happen again. I'm embarrassed to be up here, but at the same time, it's a lesson for all of you guys. So like, just keep fighting and just keep going through it. And even when you have success, just keep pushing through it and keep winning because sky's the limit. I mean, again, you see these kids up there, they're making 800. I mean, that was the biggest thing was like, that was the other thing that a lot of people talked about was ACH deposit into their bank account. How much money? Like no one shy to talk about their money.
Yeah.
Like they're like, here's what I made last year. And you're just like, I was literally sitting next to Mike and I'm like, is that real? Is that real? Like that can't be real. Like the whole time I was like, is that really a thing? Like, yeah. So anyway.
Cool. Hey, Alfred, you were there, man. You exist, brother.
Oh, absolutely. Good evening, everyone. I just want to say, hey, it was great meeting everybody that I had opportunity to meet. And it was truly a blessing that, our daughter is going to University of Alabama. And so my wife was able to come to the conference and see and hear from other agents, not just her spouse, but she got to hear it from external people and then see all those young folks on the stage. And like Daniel just said, those ACH deposits and then the lifestyle. And then it was, don't forget the golden question. Don't forget the golden question. And we just came back. She started her annuity training and we're preparing to do next level stuff as we move forward on this journey.
Man, I saw you the first day. You were pretty casual. Introduced me to your wife. The next day, dude, you were dressed to the nines. You look good. I'm like, good woman. That's what she does.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
It was fun. It was fun to hang out. And you had lunch with Ruby, who is one of Francis's team players, and she's great. She's from Texas. And yeah, it's just everybody's so friendly and welcoming. So I'm glad you were there.
Yes, sir.
You got in the team picture. Did you see that? They had a drone fly over.
Oh yeah, we're right there at the front. Yeah.
Yeah, that was fantastic. So
oh, absolutely.
Yeah, perfect. Well, listen, we appreciate you jumping on here. So what we're going to do, Leanne, were we successful in setting up a universal Zoom that we can that people can jump into when they're available without having to be let into the Zoom room?
Yep, I sent it out. I'll send it out again. Here, let me put it in the chat.
Yeah, and so starting Monday, I had to get warmed up again, and but Mondays, Thursdays, if somebody wants to jump on there, we'll be on there. Danny came into the office and nobody was there today.
Oh no!
He goes, I came in and I hung around. I thought, well, surely Francis or Neil are going to show up, but when you said that you weren't going to be in, I was like, hey, I'm going to stay home. I got paper everywhere. So
Yeah, but hey, we were all sick.
yeah, we've been crazy sick. So it's a blessing and a curse to have grandchildren sometimes. But well, listen, so let's get that out to everybody. And those of you book on that link on my calendar. We got all kinds of slots. Let's get all this banged out tomorrow and Saturday. So we can hit the ground running next week. I'm very excited about it. So
Hey, Neil, question. Is this
yeah.
thing Leanne sending out for the dialing rooms?
Yeah, it's a Zoom room. So in other words, the way we used to do it is it was my link. And so if I wasn't there, nobody could get in, which was kind of counterproductive. So she set up this this Zoom. So and there it is. So if you guys, I'm going to copy it and put it in my link. So what you can do, you can just click on that, and if you need to dial at 7:00 at night, jump on there, and if there's just one other person dialing, it's a blessing, right? Because it's a lot easier to dial in front of somebody than it is to dial by yourself, because normally you won't do it. So
a real quick tip.
Yeah.
If you're the only one in the Zoom, it will shut down after like 30, 45 minutes. Open up another phone or another screen, and then you'll keep it open. Then people will know you're in there.
Okay. Is that because somebody's doing the free version that only lasts 45 minutes, or is that the paid version?
No, it's so that's what happens if I join the dial team on Sunday and nobody's in there for the first 4 or 5 hours, it will keep kicking me out.
Oh, gotcha.
So if you're by yourself, it doesn't recognize it. So I'd have to open up another phone or another Zoom. And
yeah, and if you're in the Zoom room, text some people. Hey, I'm dialing if you want to jump in. I mean, go on to Slack and post it that you're in the dial room, and some other people will join you. Hey, Felipe, you got your hand up, bro.
Yeah, I just want to know if there was an update on the lead stuff, the lead program. Like, what kind of leads you guys were getting? How many leads, like a week or a month or?
Yeah, let's book a Zoom and I'll go over that with you.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, because it started really slow because I was doing $10 a day for like 2 weeks, but now we're ramping that up. And Dan Hatcher was asking me about the leads, and I had gotten 3 leads in that day. And I said, here, Dan, I'll screen capture these. You call them and you tell me. But like today, I called 7 leads. I talked to 4 of them, booked a Zoom, and found 2 other people that had like major money, one in Hawaii, one in Florida. And because I asked the golden question. And that's not uncommon with Facebook, Instagram leads. You do find a lot of annuity money. So yeah, book a time, and then let's do a little get together, and I'll show you. I'll share my screen and go in. You Perfect. Can see the cost per lead and all that good stuff.
Sounds good. Thank you.
Yeah. It's amazing when you just dial them how positive they turn out. So, all right. Anybody else? All right, guys.
I do, Neil.
Yeah,
I actually do. The IUL training, before I lose you. Can you send me that IUL training you were talking about? I keep losing service. I'm in far west Montana right now.
Jeez.
Yeah, driving through the mountains.
Are you talking about the Dan Chernati meeting today?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, I'll send it to you. I got it.
I appreciate it.
Cool. All right, guys, great meeting. We had 30 people on here. We need to encourage people. This is the first step, is to get people on the meeting so they can hear the information, feel the excitement, know what's going on in the organization. The second step is they get engaged in the process. So we need to keep encouraging the Bryces and the Christies of the world to jump on here, because the Rubies, everybody else, because this is it's kind of the heartbeat. We got everybody on here. So anyways, with that, have a great weekend. If you need anything, give us a call. We're happy to talk to you about whatever issues you're facing. Okay.
And come to Nashville if you're close. We'd love to see you Monday.
Hey, there's Bryce. Sorry, Bryce is on here. I stand corrected. So now you got to get Christy, Bryce. Hey, Christy, where were you? It was a great meeting.
Yeah, I'll bug her. I've been on the whole time. I've been listening.
Dude, look at that picture of this guy. He's like a freaking model.
I wish.
Yeah. Looking good in that picture.
Thanks.
That's a great profile picture. So,
Thank you.
yeah, Edgar's got some competition. I was telling Edgar that I bumped into Dan Trinati at the function, and he had a like a crushed velvet, dark ruby red jacket, and I said, "You look like Ricky Ricardo," and he's like, "Who's that?" So I had to send him a Wikipedia of who Desi Arnaz was. So, anyways. All right, guys. Well, listen, thanks for jumping on, and we'll talk to you guys soon, and appreciate it.
Yeah.
Have a good weekend.
Thank you.
You bet.